Hey there, and welcome to the KidzMatter podcast, your go-to resource for all things children's ministry. Each week, we bring you fresh ideas, inspiring stories, and practical insights to help you lead, love, and serve kids like never before. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned pro, we're glad you're here. Let's get started. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the KidzMatter podcast. My name is Hannah Augustine, and today's conversation is with Madi Hackworth. Madi is an incredible member of the KidzMatter team. She oversees our social media and does a wonderful job. If you follow us at KidzMatter on Instagram, you know she's got some great content, and that's why I wanted to invite her to be a part of today's conversation. In a digital world, it can be difficult to know how to engage in social media, but it's important for you and your ministry to be active and reaching the people in your church and in your community. Today's conversation is going to give you some practical tips, but before we dive in, let's check out this message. Here at KidzMatter, we talk about wearing your why, and that's why we have merch that helps represent how much you love being in Kidmin. For Christmas, we've launched our very own line of Merry Christmas merch, featuring a Very Merry Kidmin Christmas sweatshirts and a t-shirt. You can pick one up for you and for someone on your team at kidsmatterstore.com while supplies last. That's kidsmatterstore.com. I can't wait to jump into today's conversation, so let's get started. Well, hey there. Welcome back to another episode of the KidzMatter podcast. I'm excited for today. I say that every time, Maddie, but I really am because I get to hang out with Maddie today. Some of you know Maddie from our social media page. She is our incredible social media manager, digital content creator, all the fun things, and I'm grateful for her because there's no way I could do it. So we're grateful. If you were at the conference, she got to lead some of our intros and games and really just set the tone for some of those fun moments. But we're going to be talking today about social media because it's been around now for a long time. I still get, if you had Facebook, I wasn't allowed to get it till I was 12 because that was the rule. And when I turned 12, I now see all of the posts that I posted. And it's so bad.
That's so fun.
Like eating a snack, like, oh goodness, no one needed to know that. But it's fun to look back, and it's evolved a lot since it started. And now there's a lot of need for us as a church, as a kids ministry, as even just as independent leaders, to be active on social media. But I'd love to start, Maddie, with just hearing, how'd you get involved in KidzMin in the first place? How'd you find yourself where you are now?
Yeah, so my family started attending a new church right after I graduated high school. And as a family, my parents were very involved in church like our whole life. And so as a family, they decided we're going to serve. So we had picked the early childhood department. So we were in a baby classroom. So that is our whole family served with, I think they were like 18-month-old babies. And probably maybe a year into that, there was an opportunity for lifeguards at camp. So I was a lifeguard at that time, loved to be in the sun, loved to get my suntan on. So I was like, great, I can sign up. I'll go serve at camp. But at camp, I found out I love hanging out with older kids. So the babies are so sweet, and I loved being with the babies. But I was like, I want to be with these kids that can talk, that can ask questions about Jesus, that love to play games, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I started serving. Just in, I think I was in a kindergarten classroom at first, and then from there joined chapel team, came on staff, became a kids pastor, and have never looked back. It's like the best life ever.
I love it. I got to kind of be a part of the beginning part of Maddie's journey on staff at James River. We met, we were at the same church not for long. We were at different campuses, and I started kind of the same thing, stumbled into children's ministry, serving with the little kids, and then kind of followed them up to elementary, and then ended up taking on an internship. And Maddie and I got to do a summer of camp together, and it was so fun. And then I ended up moving to a new spot, but super excited for all that God's doing in Maddie and her family. Tell us a little bit about your family. We love them. I think they're so kiddos.
So my husband is Kendon. He's a kids pastor as well. We met through the church. It's a very fun, long story, but the Lord was in it. We got married and had 3 kids right off the bat. So got married in 2021. First kid in 2022, second kid in 2023, third in 2024. So we have 3 little girls. Our youngest turns 1 tomorrow. So 1, 2, and 3, sweet babies, and we're just loving life.
And they're so cute. If you follow her on social media, they all have like the same face. Like you can tell they're
They
sisters.
do. It is like
But your
big
middle
eyes.
daughter, oh my word, I've told you, her little smiles on, she
Oh,
just squinches her whole face, and it's so cute.
yeah, her preschool teacher, we did school pictures last week, and they said just wait till you see. They said you couldn't see her eyes, like she just was like the whole time. And
Little
her
squint.
she's in, kids go through different smile phases.
Yes.
So her smile phase is like it's like one of those. So it's really fun. I love it.
She's living her best life.
Oh yeah, she
Now, how did you, I kind of know some of your journey, but tell us, how did you end up at Kids Matter, and, how did you get involved with the social media side of children's ministry?
Yeah, okay. So it kind of goes back to when I was first on staff at James River. My role when I very first came, well, I was a volunteer coordinator for about 6 months, and then they found out that that is not my skill set whatsoever. Like emails and details, please don't make me do that. So I very quickly became a creative director because that's what I'm good at. And thankfully, I serve leaders who are like, oh, let's put you on the right seat on the bus.
Come on.
And so shortly into that, I looked at our Instagram, and we had, I think, 120 followers. But we were a church with, at that time, I think we probably had 2,000 kids in our kids ministry, like huge, huge
Right.
kids ministry. So I went to our kids pastor and I said, hey, like, we're doing all this work to post on social media for 126 people,
Right.
where we've got thousands that have no idea. So I asked to take over the Instagram page and just stayed up all night, every night. I was single at the time, and I was like, I have nothing better to do, and just dove headfirst into social media and built up that page so that more people could be a part. And I got to meet a lot of other kids ministries through that, because people would follow us and we would follow them back. And yeah, it's just been fun. So that's where I started in social media. And then after we had kids, we decided it would be best for me to be home with them as much as possible. I kind of spent all of my 20s working, so I decided I'll spend my 30s with my kids
Yeah, come
as
on.
much as I can. So I was thinking, what can I do from home that it can still be a part of the Kidman world? So I started my own kind of social media page to just encourage KidzMatter leaders and do whatever I could to be in the circle. And through that, got connected with KidzMatter and got to jump on the team. I'm so thankful. It has been the best.
And if you follow us on Instagram, you need to follow us at Kids Matter. And we do have a Facebook page, Facebook group, all that good stuff. We talk about it on here, our I Love Kidman Facebook group. But Maddie's running, she's the behind the scenes of Kids Matter. So if you've seen some of the funny reels and, all of those different things, we're actually in a place God has really blessed us. We went viral about a month ago with our partnership with Smith House Worship, and super cool. That's been an amazing blessing. But Maddie, you've kind of walked the spectrum of, from 120 followers to now over 50,000, which is wild. In the digital world that we live in, there's a lot of us, KidMin leaders range from, in their 20s to in their 60s, even 70s. Why do you think it's important for every ministry to be active on social media?
I think because that's where people live. So the general population, not every person, but a huge majority of people are spending so statistically, this is crazy. Adults between the ages of 25 to 35 spend 2 to 3 hours every single day. And that is not screen time. That is scrolling social media time. So it's not even, that doesn't count your texts. That doesn't count emails. It's scrolling social. And I think if we were in any other situation where someone said, hey, you have an opportunity to talk to all the adults in and out of your church for 2 to 3 hours a day, we'd be like, great. What do we need to do? Sign us up to get that time with them. And so I think that's why it's important to be there, because that's where people are spending their time.
That is so true. I know I try to have that, you can do the screen time blocks that let you know how long you've been in the app, because it'll get away from you, and you will wake up and be like, oh my word, I just spent how long watching reels or, scrolling Facebook Marketplace. And that is a great point, that we want to be, like Ariel said, we want to be where the people
Where
are.
the people are,
And
right?
that is
like how cool that we have an opportunity to break up that scroll with something encouraging. Because a lot of it is scary and not good. Like, people say when they come out of that dark hole of social media, we're kind of like, oh, you don't feel good. But we have the opportunity to be a light in that space. And so I'm super passionate about using that opportunity, even if you have 126 followers. That's 126 people that you can talk to. You don't have to have thousands and thousands. There's the potential to do that, but valuing every single person that's following your ministry, I think there's such a great potential.
I love it. It's a good place. I know a lot of us use social media for announcements and for things like that. But what would you say? I think when we stick to every post is just come to this or come to that. Like, how do we have a thriving social media account that's not just announcements, but is engaging and interactive?
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to just really think about who you're talking to and be what that person needs. So for a kids ministry, I know when I first started with the social media with my kids ministry, a lot of my posts were aimed towards kids. So I was like, hey, kids, come do this. Hey, kids. And then at one point I realized kids are not looking at my posts. Most of my posts are going to their moms. And so then I really switched my language. Like, I'm talking to moms with this. So I gave information, but also parenting tips. We started putting in parenting tips. We started putting in devos that kids could do at home, things that were helpful to the parent. But if you think about your kids ministry, who are you talking to? Maybe, and you can get really specific with that. You can get into okay, not only am I talking to parents, but mostly I'm talking to their mothers. And not only am I talking to mothers, but I'm talking to rural mothers who live in Ava, Missouri, or I'm talking to city moms who are from San Francisco, California. You've got to, you can, there's a huge range there, but knowing who you're talking to and what they need. Maybe your kids ministry is reaching a lot of parents who don't have biblical literacy, just offering tools and resources, things like that. So yeah, to thrive, I think you have to know who you're talking to, and then you want to give valuable information in posts. If every post is come to our church, it just becomes white noise because there are billions. I can't remember the number. I feel like it's 30 billion, something like that, images uploaded every day to Instagram. So the idea, I know that when I did a breakout at the KidzMatter conference, and I know that when I talked about this, if you had a football field of golf balls, it would be 36 feet deep. That's how many images are uploaded every single day just to Instagram. So people have so many things to look at. You want your content to be valuable to them. Otherwise, it's just going to get lost in that big pile. So it can't always be an invitation. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it needs to be encouragement. Something I found with the KidzMatter audience, again, learning who you're talking to. Kids pastors need a break every once in a while, and we love funny.
Yes.
It gets shared. If you post something funny, it gets shared because everyone's like, oh, I needed that comic relief for a moment.
Yes.
Knowing who you're talking to, creating things that are valuable. And then I think the last thing I would say is just be consistent. So it used to be with the algorithm, it's you have to post every day and you've got to post at 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. and all these different rules. Now it's just kind of consistency is the king. If you want to post once a week, great, but just do it every single week. If you want to post twice or 3 times, giving yourself a realistic schedule that you can keep up with. It kind of takes some of that burden off of you, but also tells the algorithm hey, this is important for the people that do follow us. So those are some helpful ideas.
Those are great. I think the biggest thing it was all good, but I love what you said about knowing your audience and figuring out, because that is going to look different for every ministry. It's going to look different for every church. And I know we've even learned our Facebook audience is different from our Instagram audience. And so we tailor, what we're sharing and what we're posting, knowing, all right, this is a different audience. And it's important to kind of be aware of that and to, do what we can to, like you said, minister to people, to make them smile. Parents need that. The parents in your ministry need a minute to, laugh and smile about, whatever it is you post. Those are some really, really great tips, and crazy that there's that many photos being posted.
Wild. Yeah. And on TikTok, I think the number was 10,000 videos uploaded every minute. I'm pretty sure that was the statistic. I should have brought my notes from that, but yeah, it's insane the amount of content that is available for people to consume. And so you have to be specific in what you're saying. Otherwise, it just gets lost, even to the people that follow you. So you've got to be intentional with that.
What would you say? I don't think this is on our list of questions, but how do you recommend promoting our social media? What's the best way to kind of get it out there for our church and for, anybody who's interested in it?
Mhm. I would start with the people who are already coming to your church in person. So social media is such a good tool because it connects us to people when we're not in the same room. So you would want, if you are to use social media, you would want the people who are a part of your ministry. That's where it should start.
Right.
So I would make a little handout even that said, I mean, it's very easy to create a QR code that people could scan, or even if the handout just says follow us on social media
Right.
and talk to people. So talk to your parents. Hey, did you know we have an Instagram account? And every week we're posting, discussion questions about the Bible lesson or something like that. That's where if it was me, that's where I would start.
Yeah.
And then I think once you've got your church following, then you start, there's different strategies for getting people around. You can take your social media account and use it to comment on community posts or events or things like that so that people see, oh, XR Kids has an Instagram. I had no idea. They're in our town. Let's follow them. And then you can also use it to connect with people outside of your community, just depending on, the kind of content that you're posting or things like that. I know for KidzMatter, we follow all kinds of kids ministries. We follow and message with lots of different kids pastors, like from here in the States, overseas, people who want to be kids pastors, people who used to be kids pastors, it's like, so the connection points can keep going. But yeah, I would just start with that core group of people for sure.
And even with your personal account, when I was a kids pastor, I would try to go through and be like, all right, can I follow my volunteers? Can I follow the parents of some of the kids? Like, and just taking, 30 minutes a week and going, let me see if I can find some of these people so that we can be connected, because even your personal account is a great way to, just be a witness and a testimony and an encouragement. But with your kids account or your ministry account, that's super easy to just, hey, let me look for some of these people. Because if I follow them, they'll probably follow back, because same thing, once they see, oh, I didn't know the kids ministry had a social media. So that's a great way to connect. And if your church has a social media page, have them share your stuff, because there may be more of a following on the, main page and see, hey, can you put the kids stuff out there so the parents can find us?
Yeah, I was really convicted just this year with my personal account. I think because for a while I kind of was like, oh, I just want it to be private. I don't want anybody except my family to see, which I think there's value there. I think that's a valid thing, especially with having little kids. But I was really convicted just because I have learned so much from other parents and other kids pastors by just getting to see their day-to-day life. I actually thought about Lisa Harper. She's one of my favorite, just godly examples.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Of parenting, of womanhood, so many things. But I thought, like, how sad would that be if I had never had the opportunity to see her day to day? Because I learned so much from her. Like, and I've never even gotten to, I think maybe I met her once in person in an autograph line. So it's not even like, there's no connection there. But what a gift that she's given me. Just showing. And so I was really convicted with my personal account, like to make it a thing that other people can see and be like, this is what it looks like to be a regular mom with 3 kids who's also a kids pastor and juggling. And it doesn't mean I have to post my kids all the time. Right. Some people really don't want their kids on social media, and that's totally okay. But I think using that platform too, just like you would use your own personal testimony, like we don't keep our stories about what God has done to ourselves, like how selfish and sad. He does things in us and for us so that we can share and bring people. And so same thing with your personal account. I think it's really important to be present.
That's so good. It makes me think of, Matthew 5, don't hide the light under the basket, let's get it out there and make an impact. And I think being, finding the line of being authentic. We don't want to be over, a lot of people maybe word vomit on social media, and that's not what we want. That's not the goal. But figuring out, I follow a couple influencers that are just so encouraging because they'll post like, this is what my kitchen actually looks like, because everybody's posting like all these curated things, and you're like, my house is ugly and everything's messy. And then I'll scroll past one of her posts and she's like, this is what it actually looks like, and this is what my office looks like, and it's not decorated. And so, figure out what that looks like to be authentic. And again, you don't have to go crazy, but how can you show, especially the teen volunteers who serve with you, the younger volunteers, some of us we have young adults serving with us, and, having that influence on them, especially when they're the ones in that sphere the most, the teens and the young adults, even more so than maybe those older than us.
Yeah. And I think it really creates an opportunity for connection that you wouldn't have otherwise. So my husband and I pastor at one of our campuses. And so it's not even, I mean, it's a large campus, but it's much smaller than, say, the South Campus,
Right.
But even with that group of people, it's very hard to stay up with everyone's life.
So true.
But I can look on Facebook and see, oh, so and so had surgery, or so and so's
Right.
dog passed away, or this person is, selling their house. Different things where then on Sunday, like literally last night was a Wednesday night, we had service. I was able to walk up to a couple and say, hey, I saw that you're dealing with some crazy, she's having like nerves that are intertwining in the back of her neck. I saw it on Facebook and I was able to say, hey, can you give me an update on that? Can I pray for you? And it gave this great moment of intentional connection. Had I not had Facebook, I would have zero idea. And that's not something that she's going to go around saying, hey, just so everyone knows, I have this medical thing happening, but it is something she would post to say, hey, can you guys pray for me?
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to connect with your team and parents and things like that.
That's so good. Great opportunity for ministry. And like you said, just being in the loop. Yeah. Where do you get inspiration for your posts? Because the KidzMatter posts are awesome. And some of y'all, probably not many of you, we have a Kidman Academy page that I'm kind of running, and it's not going well because I'm running it and I run out of inspiration. And so where do you get your inspiration?
You're doing great.
Thank you. Where do you get inspiration for all your fun posts?
Everywhere. So I try to follow anything related to kids on my personal account. Some of the accounts you have to be careful because, from the KidzMatter page, I'm not going to follow an account that doesn't glorify Jesus.
Right.
However, on my personal page, because I know myself and I know like the parameters that I put, I may follow a business like an ice cream shop or something like that, where I can basically steal from their ideas and use them for the glory of God.
Yes, amen.
Disney a lot, and this is not a pro or against Disney.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in the middle on this one. But I would say Disney is paying who knows how many millions of dollars on researching how to connect with a family. Like that, they're doing all of the work and paying all the money. So we can just look and listen and learn and take, shift, and present in a way that does glorify the Lord, in a way that does build up his church, and we didn't have to pay the money or do the research. So I'm like, to me, it's like common sense. It's like, let's take from them, because maybe they don't love Jesus, but they love kids and they're trying really hard to advertise to kids, to reach into the family dynamic. Like, let's use that.
Yeah,
and take it and build the church. So anyway, I get inspiration everywhere.
And I think it's one of those things, once you start looking, you get an eye for it, that you start to go, oh, that would work. Oh, that's a fun idea. Or, oh, and you may even find, for those of you listening, that you have some teenagers in your ministry that would be willing to like send you something that would look cool, like create a little social media influencer group where the teenagers and the young adults can send you, hey, this was super funny. I thought it'd be great to do for kids.
You can have a teenager run it. There was a student at the KidzMatter conference, and she came up and she was like, I run my social media for my kids ministry. And I can tell I'm getting old because I don't know how old teenagers are. Like, I can tell, I'm like, the older I get, I'm like, oh my word, it's happening. Everybody looks
the same. They're just young.
I didn't want to offend her. I'm like, maybe she's in college, maybe she's in high school. I don't know. She was in 8th grade and she was like, I run the social media account for my kids ministry. What tips do you have? I'm like, we were just kind of talking. But like, do that if you've got young people there. That is their first language, social media. So might as well not have to teach yourself to translate. Like, let them run with it. You can oversee it and make tweaks here and there. But yeah, definitely,
absolutely. And it's a cool way for them to be engaged. And they're getting to do, like you said, it's their first language. It's something they love, so they can take something they love and do it, as you mentioned earlier, for the glory of God, instead of just, I'm going to post on my own page, or I'm going to scroll on TikTok forever. Like, I can do this and do it for the Lord, which is super cool. How would you say, and again, we're in a unique spot. I think youth pastors are in a different position because their teenagers are actually following them, So our kids, most of them are not on social media. And even if they are, there's wisdom to be used of, do you follow kids? Do you let kids follow you? All of that, be wise. But how can we disciple using our social media influence? How do we use that to help people get closer to Jesus?
Yeah, I think especially in the Kidman world, you're most of the time going to be discipling parents and teaching them how to teach their kids. But I think if we can shift the focus, I think a lot of times the focus in social media is like, how many views did we get? How many likes did we get? To see if it's successful.
Right.
And there is value to that. But I think the bigger value comes from building relationship through your account. So what that looks like is, if, okay, say you put out a parent resource on baptism and then you have a parent comment, hey, I don't know how to do this. Or maybe you have a parent come up, say, hey, I saw that baptism resource. Then it looks like taking the time to build relationship through social media. I had one person at the conference, I did a breakout, and one person asked, like, how often do you respond to direct messages? Because it seems like that's just such a waste of time. It's kind of like the way that they worded the question. And I was like, man, if you have a parent that is willing to type out a message, please respond. Please respond. Because the goal of these platforms should not be to grow bigger. The goal is to build deeper relationships. And then if it grows, great. Like KidzMatter has grown exponentially. Thank you, Jesus. So it's not a bad thing that we are growing, but it also can't be like the focus. So I think building relationships, responding to comments, using the platform to know what your team or what your kids or what your parents are up to, and then going in person and saying, hey, I saw it was your birthday. Happy birthday. Whatever thing. Use it to build those relationships. And then you have wide open door for discipleship when things pop up. You might not have had that opportunity before. So
that's huge on the direct messages, because it's true. I think a lot of us live in this world of, we have unread texts, we have unread Facebook messages, we have unread, and it can feel overwhelming. But carve out again, see if there's someone that can help you run it. I think with Instagram, you can have multiple people logged into the account, so you can have yourself and maybe another adult and like a teenager that are there, to kind of help manage it, so that you don't feel like I'm on 24/7. Don't feel like you have to respond. If you see the notification at 7 p.m. on Monday night, set a reminder and reply to them in the morning. Like, keep your boundaries, but also, be intentional, because like you said, someone put themselves out there to send that message and to ask that question. And you want to, when you influence that person, they're going to influence other people and be like, oh, I got this really cool resource from, whatever kids ministry. And now maybe they'll share your post, and maybe and like you said, it's not about growing bigger. It's about having more reach. And it's about being able to disciple more people. So it's not so much about the numbers as it is about the impact.
Yeah, I definitely think that is true. And I think just like what you said about not being overwhelmed, I don't think that you have to respond in the moment or bend over backwards to make this social media thing happen. But I do think giving it a priority. So in your week, don't organize that closet and instead, set I'm going to do 45 minutes every Monday to respond to whatever things. Then it feels doable, but you're still, putting a priority on it. So
that's so good. What encouragement, as we kind of wrap up, what would you say to our KidMin leaders about social media, but also just in general? What would you say to encourage them?
I think I would say you're doing amazing. And no matter how you feel like you're doing, because I think even for me in the world of social media or beyond, I kind of wear this weight sometimes of I'm not quite doing enough. Because I think the pool of opportunity for a KidMin leader is very big and very deep. And so we have so many things we could be doing. But just know that if God has called you, he's going to keep equipping you. That's not just a fluffy thing. He really will. Make this a priority, but don't make it a burden. The Lord will go before. If we are intentional, the Lord does the rest. I mean, you look at the KidzMatter page, I pray every day because I only have this little chunk of time each week that I can be in this space, because I am a kids pastor. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have to keep our laundry done, our husband, all these things can kind of pile up. But just asking the Lord, okay, Lord, take what little bit I have, take my bread and my fish, and you want to do. And that's what he's done with our account. We've gotten 45,000 followers in the past month. And that has to be the Lord. That can't be. That is not anything that I did. That's all him. So if you kind of say, okay, I'm going to do what I can, I'm going to be intentional, but then I'm going to let the Lord do his thing, he will. He will do it. And if your account never, I guess I would close with this. If your account never reaches more than 50 people, you've reached 50 people.
Right.
So like, don't let numbers scare you out of influencing. 50 is a lot. If you had a room of 50 adults that you got to talk to, like you'd be nervous because it's so many eyes looking at you, So I think like, don't let the numbers scare you away from letting God use you in that space.
That's so good. Madi, thank you so much for all you shared today. I would love if you would just pray over our listeners before we wrap up.
Yes, I would love that. Jesus, thank you so much for every single person that is listening or watching this podcast. Lord, you have intentionally placed them in the roles that they're in, but also in a space where they're able to hear this, in a space where they're able to be a part of this podcast. And so, Lord, I just pray that you would bless them. I pray, Lord, that each person would feel a lift, that we wouldn't try to carry burdens that aren't ours to hold, but that we would give those to you. I pray for extra capacity, Lord, for all of us in the different hats that we're wearing and the different roles that we're doing. And when it comes to social media, Lord, we just give it to you. We give you our accounts. We give you the influence. We know, Lord, that you build your church, and in the same way you build these platforms, it's for your glory and your name. And so I just pray, Lord, that you would keep that in front of us, that you would remind us just the power that you have to influence and to speak to people through what little bit we might be able to give. So we just thank you for that, Lord. Pray that you would go before us, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thanks, Madi. If you don't follow us, remember at KidzMatter on Instagram, join our I Love Kidman Facebook group, and we will see you for next week's episode. Have a great week. I love Madi, and I'm confident that after today's conversation, you do too. If you don't already follow us, go over to Instagram and follow at KidzMatter so you can stay in touch with Madi and our team. And remember, if you forget everything we said today, it's not so much about the numbers on social media. It's about being faithful and allowing God to use you within your sphere of influence. Don't forget that you can check out our Christmas merch at KidzMatterStore.com. And if you're wondering why it looks so cute, it's because Madi designed it. Check it out at KidzMatterStore.com and grab something for you and a volunteer. Have a great week, and we'll see you for our next episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.